My name is Tommy Caldwell, and I've been carrying this secret for 2 years now. Every night, I wake up at exactly 2:14 inches the morning, covered in sweat, the smell of mildew and copper still burning in my nostrils. My sister hasn't visited me in 11 months, said she can't look at me the same way anymore, can't stand the way I check every corner of every room before I speak, can't handle how I refuse to be alone in enclosed spaces. We were close once, wrote letters every week for the first 6 years of my sentence. Then I told her what happened in that hidden room beneath Ravencrest State Penitentiary, and she stopped believing I was sane. Maybe she's right. Maybe what I saw down there broke something in my head that can't be fixed. But the scratches on my arms are real. The missing men are real. And what's waiting in that room is still there, still hungry, still patient. October 8th, 2021. That's the date we found it. That's the night 5 inmates discovered something that had been sealed away for decades. And I'm the only one left who can tell you what happened. I was serving year 9 of a 15-year sentence at Ravencrest for armed robbery. Not proud of it, but I'm not going to pretend I was innocent either. 3 of us hit a jewelry store in Newark, got caught 2 blocks away when the getaway driver panicked and crashed. Stupid, young, desperate. The usual story. Ravencrest State Penitentiary sits about 48 miles west of Philadelphia, buried deep in the Pennsylvania wilderness near a town called Clearfield. The prison was built in 1952 on top of what used to be the Clearfield Psychiatric Hospital, an asylum that operated from 1887 until it burned down in 1949. 73 patients died in that fire, along with 12 staff members. The official report blamed faulty wiring, but the locals used to tell different stories. Stories about experimental treatments. Stories about rooms in the basement where they tested things that had no medical names. Stories about the head doctor, a man named Wilhelm Straub, who believed that madness could be transferred, stored, contained in physical space like electricity in a battery. The state demolished most of the old asylum and built the prison on its bones. But they kept the basement levels, the deep foundation, the reinforced rooms that had been designed to hold something more than just people. Those basement levels became our maintenance tunnels, our storage areas, our plumbing access. Most of the prison staff didn't even know how far down they went, but we did. The inmates always know the secrets of a place. We have time, we pay attention, we listen to the walls. I need you to understand something about Ravencrest. It wasn't just a prison. It was wrong in ways that had nothing to do with bars and guards and concrete. The air tasted stale, even in the yard. You'd hear sounds at night that didn't match any prison noise, mechanical hums that came from beneath the floor, vibrations at exactly 2:14 a.m., like something massive was breathing under our feet. The building had moods. Some days it felt heavy, oppressive, like the walls were pressing in. Other days it felt hollow, like you could punch through the concrete and find nothing but empty space on the other side. I was in cell block C, 3rd tier, cell 47. My cellmate was a guy named Marcus Chen, doing 12 years for drug trafficking. Marcus was smart, careful, the kind of guy who noticed things. He'd been at Ravencrest for 7 years, longer than almost anyone in our block, and he knew the building's rhythms better than the guards did. "You feel that?" Marcus asked me one night in early October. We were lying in our bunks, lights out, the block quiet, except for the usual sounds of men sleeping and the occasional cough or shifting body. "Feel what?" "The vibration. 2:14 a.m. Like clockwork." He was right. I'd felt it too, but never really thought about it. Just another weird thing about Ravencrest, another piece of the building's strange personality. Yeah, so what? So I've been feeling it for 7 years, and it's getting stronger. Used to be you could barely notice it. Now it's like the whole building shakes for about 30 seconds. He sat up in his bunk, silhouette dark against the dim emergency lighting. I think something's waking up down there. Have you ever had a conversation that changed everything? One of those moments where you can feel your life splitting into before and after, even though nothing's happened yet? That was that night. Marcus telling me about the vibrations, about the patterns he'd noticed, about the maintenance tunnel in the laundry room that led deeper than it should, to levels that weren't on any official blueprint. "There's 5 of us," Marcus said. "Me, you, Davis from the kitchen crew, Leon the plumber, and a new transfer named Rick. We've all noticed things. We've all been asking questions. Tomorrow night during yard time, we're meeting to compare notes." I should have said no. Should have told Marcus I wasn't interested in whatever conspiracy theory he was building. But curiosity is a dangerous thing when you're locked up with nothing but time. So I said yes. The next day in the yard, the 5 of us gathered near the weight benches, pretending to spot each other while we talked. Davis was a short, wiry guy doing 20 years for manslaughter. Leon was massive, 6'5", former plumber on the outside who'd gotten the same job inside and had access to areas most inmates never saw. Rick was the new guy, transferred from Greaterford 3 months ago, quiet and watchful, with eyes that had seen things he didn't want to talk about. "Greaterford has it too," Rick said when we asked him why he'd joined our little group. "Different pattern, different time, but the same feeling, like the prison is built on top of something that's alive and sleeping." I requested the transfer because I thought maybe getting away would help. But it's worse here. Whatever's under Ravencrest is more awake than what was under Greaterford. Leon pulled out a hand-drawn map he'd been making over months of maintenance work. It showed the prison's layout, but with additions, extra levels, and passages that extended far below the official basement. "I've been in the deep tunnels," he said. "There's stuff down there that doesn't make sense. Rooms with reinforced doors, old equipment that looks medical but wrong, like it was designed for procedures that don't have names. And there's one door at the very bottom that I can't open. It's got 6 locks, all different types, like they really didn't want anyone getting in. Or maybe they didn't want something getting out. That's where we need to go," Marcus said. "Whatever's causing the vibrations, whatever this building was built to contain, it's behind that door." What would you do in that situation? 5 men in prison, all sensing that something is fundamentally wrong with the place you're trapped in, all drawn to a mystery that might be the only interesting thing that's happened in years. We knew it was stupid. We knew it was dangerous. But when you're serving time, sometimes dangerous is better than another day of the same routine. We planned it for a week. Leon would get us into the maintenance tunnels during a planned electrical inspection. Davis would create a distraction in the kitchen that would pull guards away from our block. Rick would disable the security camera in the laundry room where the tunnel entrance was. Marcus and I would handle lookout and make sure we could get back clean. October 8th, 2021, 9:47 p.m. The 5 of us met in the laundry room. The smell of industrial detergent and bleach was overwhelming, but underneath it was something else, something organic and wrong, like meat left too long in a warm place. Leon opened the maintenance access panel, revealing a metal ladder that descended into darkness. "Once we're down there, we're off the map," he said. "No cameras, no guards, no help if something goes wrong. Everyone's still in. We were all in. God help us, we were all in." The ladder went down 3 stories, our feet ringing against metal rungs, the sound echoing in a space that felt too large. When we reached the bottom, Leon clicked on his flashlight, and I saw we were in a tunnel that looked nothing like modern prison construction. The walls were old brick, water-stained and crumbling. The ceiling was arched, held up by wooden beams that had to be from the original asylum. The air was thick and damp, and that smell of mildew and copper was everywhere. "This way," Leon said, leading us deeper. The tunnel branched several times, but he navigated with confidence, following his mental map. We passed rooms filled with old equipment, rusted beds with leather restraints, cabinets with bottles of chemicals whose labels had faded to illegibility. It looked like they'd just abandoned everything when the asylum burned, sealed it all up, and forgot about it. After maybe 20 minutes of walking, we reached a heavy steel door at the end of a dead-end corridor. The door had 6 different locks, just like Leon had described. But what he hadn't mentioned was the writing on the wall next to it. Messages scratched into the brick, some old and faint, others newer and deeper. "Do not open. Straub was right. It feeds on remembering. The room is not empty. 1949. They sealed it for a reason. Anyone else thinking maybe we should listen to the creepy wall messages?" Davis said, his voice shaky. "We came this far," Marcus said. He was already examining the locks. "Besides, if it was really dangerous, they would have filled the whole tunnel with concrete, not just locked a door." It took us an hour to get through all 6 locks. Leon had brought tools, and between the 5 of us, we had enough improvised picks and tension wrenches to work the mechanisms. The last lock clicked open at 11:53 p.m., and Marcus pulled the door open. The room beyond was not what any of us expected. It was huge, maybe 50 feet across, with a vaulted ceiling that disappeared into darkness above our flashlight beams. The walls were covered in tiles, white ceramic that had yellowed with age. In the center of the room was a large circular depression in the floor, maybe 10 feet in diameter, filled with what looked like dark water, but didn't move like water. Too thick, too still. And around the edges of the pool were objects, personal items, hundreds of them. Watches, rings, glasses, shoes, photographs, letters, all arranged in careful circles, like someone had been collecting and organizing them for decades. "What is this place?" Rick whispered. Leon walked to the nearest wall and found a plaque, tarnished brass but still readable. He read it aloud. "Straub Memorial Collection Room. Dedicated 1947. May the memories rest." "Memories," Marcus said. He was standing at the edge of the pool, looking down into that dark surface. Straub thought madness could be stored. What if he figured out how to store memories? What if all these objects, they're anchors for memories that patients wanted to forget, and this room was designed to hold them? "That's insane," Davis said. "We're standing in an asylum's secret basement room beneath a prison," I pointed out. "Insane is kind of our baseline right now." That's when we heard it. A sound from the pool. Not a splash, more like a breath. Like something in that thick, dark liquid had just surfaced to breathe. We all froze, flashlights trained on the water. "Did you hear that?" Leon asked. We all heard it. And then we heard it again, louder this time, a wet, rhythmic breathing. And the surface of the pool began to ripple, perfect concentric circles expanding from the center. "We need to leave," Rick said. "Right now." But Marcus wasn't listening. He was staring into the pool like he was hypnotized. "I can see something," he said. "Faces. In the water. They're trying to tell me something." "Marcus, step back from the edge," I said. But he didn't move. He just kept staring down into that dark surface, and his expression was changing, his eyes going wide and empty, his mouth slack. Then he started to scream, not a scream of fear but of recognition, like he was seeing something he'd forgotten, something terrible that was flooding back into his mind all at once. He clutched his head and fell to his knees, still screaming, and the pool began to churn. If you've made it this far, drop a comment below with what time you're watching this and what city you're in. I want to know who else can't sleep at night because of stories like mine. Leon grabbed Marcus and tried to pull him away from the pool, but Marcus fought him, still screaming, words now mixed in with the sound. I remember, oh God, I remember everything, every face, every name, every death. I can see all of them, all 73, burning, screaming, locked in. Straub locked them in. He wanted their memories. He needed their fear. He fed it to the room. Oh God, it's still here. It's still feeding. It's been feeding for 70 years. The water erupted, not up, but out, tendrils of that dark liquid reaching across the floor toward us like grasping fingers. They moved wrong, too fast and too purposeful, like they had intention. Rick and Davis ran for the door. I grabbed one of Marcus's arms, while Leon grabbed the other, and we dragged him backward as he thrashed and screamed. But the tendrils were faster. One wrapped around Marcus's ankle, and the moment it touched him, his screaming stopped. He went completely rigid, his eyes rolling back in his head, his mouth open in a silent gasp. And then he started to whisper. Names, dozens of names, hundreds of names, patients from the asylum, staff members, people who died in the fire, people who died before the fire, decades worth of names pouring out of his mouth in a continuous stream. Leon and I pulled harder, but the tendril was pulling back, and Marcus was sliding across the wet tile toward the pool. His whispers got louder, became a chant, names and dates and causes of death, a litany of everyone who'd ever suffered in this building, everyone whose memories had been fed to whatever was living in that pool. Leon, we have to cut it, I shouted. Leon pulled out his work knife and slashed at the tendril. The blade went through it like it was cutting shadow, no resistance, and the severed end splashed back into the pool. But Marcus was still caught, still being dragged, and more tendrils were coming. We ran. God help us, we left him there. Leon and I bolted for the door where Rick and Davis were waiting, and we slammed it shut behind us, all 6 locks engaging automatically as the door closed. We could hear Marcus on the other side, still chanting those names, his voice getting fainter and fainter until it faded into silence. We didn't speak as we climbed back up the ladder. We didn't speak as we cleaned ourselves up in the laundry room and separated to return to our cells. What could we say? We'd found something that shouldn't exist, lost a man to it, and had no way to explain any of it. The next morning, Marcus was listed as missing during a routine count. The prison went into lockdown. They searched everywhere. They brought in dogs. They reviewed camera footage. They questioned everyone, but they never found him. How could they? They didn't know about the room. They didn't know what was living in the pool beneath the prison, still hungry after 70 years, still collecting memories, still feeding. Davis disappeared 3 days later. He was found unconscious in his cell, and when he woke up in the infirmary, he couldn't remember his own name, couldn't remember anything about his life before prison, during prison, nothing. He just sat there with empty eyes, whispering names that weren't his, faces he'd never seen, deaths he'd never witnessed. They transferred him to a psychiatric facility. I heard he's still there, still whispering, still channeling memories that don't belong to him. Rick made it 2 weeks. He started sleepwalking, they told me. Guards would find him standing at the laundry room door at 2:14 a.m., trying to open it, pulling at the handle like he was being called. They put him in solitary for his own safety. He hung himself with his bedsheet on day 3. The note he left was just a list of names. the same names Marcus had been chanting. Leon lasted the longest, almost a month. He tried to warn people, tried to tell the warden about the room, about what was down there. They thought he was having a breakdown, transferred him to observation status, weekly psych evaluations. He seemed to be getting better, seemed to be letting it go. Then one night during a maintenance shift, he went down into the tunnels and never came back. They found his tools next to the sealed door. They found his flashlight. They found his work badge, but they never found Leon. And that leaves me, the last one. The only one who saw what was in that room and didn't let it take my memories. But I can feel it calling sometimes. At exactly 2:14 a.m., when the building shakes, I can hear whispers in the vibration, names I don't recognize, faces I've never seen, a gentle pull toward the laundry room, toward the ladder, toward the door with 6 locks. Do you believe places can hunger, not metaphorically, but actually hunger for something specific? I do. That room beneath Ravencrest is starving. Straub fed it for decades, patients' memories of trauma and pain, and when the asylum burned, it got 73 people all at once, a feast that kept it satisfied for years. But now it's hungry again. The memories it stored are fading, losing their potency. It needs fresh food, and it's calling. I requested a transfer 6 months ago, denied. I tried to get my lawyer to petition for early release, denied. I wrote to my sister explaining everything. She stopped writing back. I think the prison wants me here. Maybe when you find something like that, you become marked. The scratches on my arms started appearing 3 weeks ago. I wake up at 2:14 a.m. and they're there, fresh, 3 parallel lines like something with claws has been touching me while I sleep. They don't heal. They just stay there. I think about Marcus a lot, about how he screamed when the memories flooded into him. Is he still down there? Is he part of the pool now? Or did it take everything and leave him empty? There's a new inmate in Marcus's old bunk. Name's Trevor. Nice kid, only 23, in for 5 years on a weapons charge. He asked me the other day if I ever felt the building shake at night. I told him no. I told him it was probably just the plumbing. I watched his face fall, that little flash of disappointment that he'd have to carry this weird observation alone. I should warn him. Should tell him about the room, about what happened to the others, about what's waiting down there in the darkness. But what good would it do? He wouldn't believe me. Nobody believes me. And even if he did, what then? We're in prison. We can't leave. All I'd be doing is putting the fear in him that lives in me now, that wakes me up at 2:14 a.m. covered in sweat, checking my arms for new scratches. Tell me in the comments, if you knew something terrible was hunting you but no one believed you, would you warn others anyway? Would you risk them thinking you're crazy? Or would you keep silent to preserve the little credibility you have left? My sentence is up in 4 years. 4 more years of waking at 2:14 a.m. 4 more years of feeling the building shake. 4 more years of being the only one who knows about the room. But sometimes I wonder if I'll make it. The scratches are getting deeper. The pull toward the laundry room is getting stronger. I've started having dreams where I'm walking through those tunnels, and the door with 6 locks is already open. What was in those memories that Marcus saw? What did Straub do to those patients? I think about that fire in 1949. 73 patients dead, locked in their rooms as the building burned. The official report said faulty wiring. But what if Straub set that fire? What if he gave his creation one massive final feeding? All that fear, all that pain, all those memories of burning alive. And now it's waking up again. The prison built on top of it like fresh memories walking the halls every day. All it has to do is reach up and take what it wants. I'm writing this down because I need there to be a record. When I disappear, I need someone to know what happened. Not just to me, but to Marcus, Davis, Rick, and Leon. We were real people. We found something that shouldn't exist. The room is still there. Beneath Ravencrest, down the ladder and through the tunnels, behind the door with 6 locks. The pool is still there. The memories are still there. And the thing living in it is still hungry. If you're reading this, if you ever find yourself in Ravencrest State Penitentiary, stay away from the laundry room. Don't go down the ladder. Don't open the door with 6 locks. And if you hear whispers at 2:14 a.m., cover your ears, because once it knows you can hear it, you're marked. It's 2:09 a.m. as I write this, 5 more minutes until the building shakes. I can already feel it pulling at me. The scratches on my arms are burning. I won't go down there. I'll make it 4 more years. I'll get out. I'll forget about the room and the pool and Marcus screaming as the tendrils pulled him in. I'll forget, but the room won't forget me. It's 2:14 a.m. now. The building is shaking, and I can hear my name being called from somewhere far below. The scratches on my arms are bleeding now. I'm sorry. To whoever finds this, to my sister if she ever reads it, to Marcus and the others who are still down there in that dark pool, I'm sorry I couldn't be stronger. I'm sorry I couldn't resist the call. The door to my cell is opening. I didn't open it. The locks just clicked, all of them at once, like someone with keys decided I've waited long enough and it's time. I can smell it now. Mildew and copper. Old memories and fresh fear. The smell of the room seeping up through the floors, filling the cell, filling my lungs with its hunger. My feet are moving. I don't want them to move, but they're moving anyway, carrying me toward the door, toward the corridor, toward the stairs that lead down to the laundry room and the ladder and the tunnels. I'm the last one left to tell, and soon there won't be anyone left at all to remember what we found. Remember us, please. 5 inmates who found a hidden room beneath a prison, 4 who disappeared into it, and 1 who thought he could resist but couldn't in the end. My name is Tommy Caldwell. It's 2:17 a.m. on December 6th, 2025, and I'm going down to the room now to join them all. I wonder whose memories I will become when it's all over and done.